For nearly 80 years, the Dead Sea Scrolls have remained one of archaeology's most remarkable discoveries. Hidden inside caves overlooking the Dead Sea for almost 2,000 years, these ancient manuscripts transformed historians' understanding of Judaism during the Second Temple period and provided the oldest surviving copies of many books found in the Hebrew Bible. Yet despite decades of research, many questions still remain unanswered. Who wrote the scrolls? Why were they hidden inside caves? And what secrets, if any, are still waiting to be discovered within their faded ink and fragile parchment? In recent years, artificial intelligence has become an increasingly valuable tool for historians and archaeologists. Machine learning systems can compare handwriting styles, reconstruct damaged manuscripts, identify patterns too subtle for the human eye, and organize enormous amounts of historical data in ways that were impossible only a decade ago. That technological revolution has inspired a new wave of curiosity. What would happen if an advanced AI system examined one of history's greatest archaeological mysteries? Some online videos claim that Grok AI was asked to reanalyze the Dead Sea Scrolls and produce conclusions that left experts speechless. The headlines suggest hidden messages, forgotten civilizations, or astonishing discoveries capable of rewriting history itself. But do those claims reflect reality? Or are they another example of the internet turning a fascinating historical mystery into something even more sensational? To answer that question, we first need to understand what the Dead Sea Scrolls actually are. Between 1947 and 1956, archaeologists and Bedouin shepherds discovered hundreds of ancient manuscripts in caves near Qumran, on the northwestern shore of the Dead Sea. Written primarily in Hebrew, with some texts in Aramaic and Greek, the collection includes biblical manuscripts, religious commentaries, legal writings, hymns, calendars, and community rules. Many of these texts date from roughly the 3rd century BCE to the 1st century CE, making them among the oldest surviving Jewish manuscripts ever found. Their discovery was extraordinary. Before the scrolls were uncovered, the oldest complete Hebrew biblical manuscripts available to scholars were more than 1,000 years younger. The Dead Sea Scrolls suddenly allowed researchers to compare biblical texts across centuries, revealing both remarkable consistency and fascinating variations in ancient copying traditions. But the scrolls contain far more than biblical writings. They also preserve documents describing the beliefs, customs, and daily lives of a Jewish community living during a turbulent period of history. These writings offer an unparalleled window into religious thought shortly before the rise of Christianity and the destruction of the Second Temple in Jerusalem. Even after decades of study, however, many fragments remain difficult to read. Some are badly damaged. Others exist only as tiny pieces of parchment no larger than a postage stamp. Reconstructing those fragments has become one of archaeology's greatest challenges. This is where artificial intelligence enters the story. Modern AI can assist researchers by matching handwriting styles, suggesting how broken fragments may fit together, enhancing faded writing through advanced imaging, and identifying textual patterns hidden within thousands of manuscript pieces. Those applications are real. But does that mean AI has uncovered a forgotten secret that changes everything we know about the Dead Sea Scrolls? Not according to the publicly available evidence. So far, there is no verified record that Grok AI has independently made a groundbreaking discovery about the Dead Sea Scrolls that historians or archaeologists have confirmed. Instead, the true story is something equally fascinating. Artificial intelligence isn't replacing historians. It's becoming one of the most powerful tools they've ever had. After the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls, generations of scholars dedicated their lives to studying every fragment. The collection contains more than 900 manuscripts and tens of thousands of individual pieces of parchment and papyrus. Some fragments preserve complete passages, while others contain only a few letters. Putting them back together has been compared to assembling a massive jigsaw puzzle with thousands of missing pieces. For decades, this painstaking work depended almost entirely on the trained eyes of historians, linguists, and archaeologists. Every fragment had to be examined by hand, its handwriting compared with others, and its material carefully analyzed. Even the smallest mistake could change the interpretation of an ancient text. Today, however, researchers have an entirely new assistant. Artificial intelligence has begun transforming the way these manuscripts are studied, not by replacing experts, but by giving them powerful new tools. Modern AI systems can analyze thousands of handwriting samples in minutes. By comparing the shape of letters, the angle of pen strokes, spacing between words, and subtle writing habits, computer models can detect patterns that are almost impossible to notice with the naked eye. One remarkable example came in 2021, when researchers used artificial intelligence to examine one of the famous Great Isaiah scrolls. Although historians had long believed the manuscript was copied by a single scribe, the AI analysis suggested that two different scribes likely worked on the scroll. Their handwriting was so similar that centuries of traditional study had not clearly distinguished them. Yet the computer detected consistent differences throughout the manuscript. That discovery didn't rewrite history. Instead, it offered historians a more detailed understanding of how ancient manuscripts were produced and copied more than 2,000 years ago. Artificial intelligence is also helping researchers recover text that had nearly disappeared. Many Dead Sea Scroll fragments have faded because of age, humidity, and centuries spent inside caves. Using multispectral imaging, a technique that photographs manuscripts under different wavelengths of light, combined with AI-assisted image analysis, scholars can reveal ink that is invisible under ordinary lighting. Letters that once appeared completely blank can suddenly become readable. Entire words thought to be lost forever sometimes emerge from damaged parchment. For historians, these moments are extraordinary. Each newly recovered word has the potential to clarify ancient religious practices, historical events, or scribal traditions that remained uncertain for generations. Another challenge involves reconstruction. The Dead Sea Scrolls consist of thousands of broken fragments scattered among hundreds of manuscripts. Determining which pieces belong together has always required years of careful comparison. AI now accelerates that process. By analyzing the shape of torn edges, the texture of parchment, ink composition, writing style, and textual patterns, computer systems can suggest possible fragment matches far more quickly than manual comparison alone. Importantly, however, these suggestions are not final answers. Every proposed reconstruction is carefully reviewed by archaeologists, conservators, linguists, and biblical scholars before being accepted. This distinction matters. Some internet videos claim that Grok AI, or artificial intelligence in general, has uncovered shocking hidden messages inside the Dead Sea Scrolls. There is no verified evidence supporting those claims. AI has not discovered secret prophecies, identified unknown civilizations, or revealed hidden codes that experts somehow overlooked. Instead, its real contribution is arguably even more valuable. It allows researchers to study fragile manuscripts with greater precision, preserve priceless historical documents digitally, and answer scholarly questions that once seemed impossible. Rather than replacing human expertise, artificial intelligence has become one of archaeology's most powerful research partners. And as technology continues improving, historians believe the greatest discoveries may still lie ahead, not because AI invents new history, but because it helps uncover details that have remained hidden in plain sight for over 2,000 years. For all the remarkable discoveries made since the Dead Sea Scrolls were first uncovered, one question continues to challenge historians more than any other. Who actually wrote these ancient manuscripts? It sounds like a simple question, but after decades of archaeological research, there is still no single answer accepted by every expert. The scrolls were discovered near the ancient settlement of Qumran, located on the northwestern shore of the Dead Sea. Because of this location, many scholars believe the manuscripts were connected to a Jewish religious community that once lived there. The leading theory points to a group known as the Essenes. Ancient historians such as Josephus, Philo of Alexandria, and Pliny the Elder described the Essenes as a Jewish sect known for communal living, strict religious practices, ritual purification, and careful study of sacred texts. Their descriptions share several similarities with the community rules preserved among the Dead Sea Scrolls. These similarities have convinced many researchers that the Essenes either wrote or preserved at least a significant portion of the collection. Yet the evidence is not completely conclusive. Over the years, other scholars have proposed different explanations. Some argue that the scrolls were collected from multiple libraries across Judea rather than written by a single community. According to this theory, Jewish groups fleeing the Roman army during the First Jewish Revolt may have hidden valuable manuscripts inside the caves to protect them from destruction. If true, the scrolls would represent a much broader picture of Jewish life rather than the beliefs of only one religious community. This debate remains active today. Neither theory has completely solved every archaeological question. That uncertainty is exactly what makes the Dead Sea Scrolls so fascinating. Rather than providing all the answers, they continue raising new questions with every generation of research. Another mystery involves why the scrolls were hidden at all. Most historians agree that the manuscripts were deliberately placed inside the caves. The careful storage of scroll jars, the remote locations of many caves, and the historical events occurring during the 1st century strongly suggest that someone intentionally concealed these priceless documents. But what were they trying to protect them from? Many researchers point to the Roman military campaigns that eventually destroyed Jerusalem and the Second Temple in 70 CE. As Roman forces advanced through Judea, hiding sacred writings may have seemed like the only way to preserve them for future generations. If that was the plan, it worked far better than anyone could have imagined. The manuscripts remained untouched for nearly 2,000 years. Wind swept across the cliffs. Empires rose and fell. Entire civilizations changed. Yet inside those silent caves, the scrolls waited. It wasn't until the mid-20th century that they would once again see daylight. This extraordinary preservation explains why the discovery shocked the archaeological world. For biblical scholars, the scrolls offered an opportunity unlike any before. For historians, they opened an entirely new window into Jewish religious life during one of history's most significant periods. And for linguists, they preserved examples of ancient Hebrew and Aramaic that helped deepen understanding of languages spoken more than 2 millennia ago. So where does artificial intelligence fit into this mystery? Despite sensational online headlines, AI has not identified a previously unknown civilization, uncovered hidden prophecies, or definitively proven who wrote the scrolls. Instead, AI has helped scholars compare handwriting, organize fragments, and test long-standing theories with greater precision. In other words, technology is refining the investigation, not ending it. And perhaps that's the most exciting part. Because every improvement in imaging, digital reconstruction, and machine learning gives researchers another opportunity to examine evidence that has survived for over 2,000 years. The greatest discovery may not be a hidden secret. It may be a clearer understanding of the people who carefully preserved these extraordinary manuscripts against impossible odds. Ever since the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered, they have inspired more than scholarly research. They have also fueled decades of speculation. Books, documentaries, and countless internet videos have claimed the scrolls contain hidden prophecies, secret knowledge, or evidence capable of rewriting human history. With the rise of artificial intelligence, those claims have only become more dramatic. Headlines now suggest that Grok AI uncovered shocking messages that historians somehow overlooked. Others claim the scrolls predict modern events, reveal the location of lost treasures, or expose hidden conspiracies suppressed for generations. But how much of that is actually supported by evidence? The answer is surprisingly straightforward. According to the available archaeological and historical research, there is no verified evidence that the Dead Sea Scrolls contain hidden codes or secret predictions discovered by Grok AI or any other artificial intelligence system. That doesn't make the scrolls any less extraordinary. In fact, the truth is remarkable enough on its own. The collection includes copies of biblical books, community rules, prayers, hymns, legal texts, commentaries, calendars, and writings that describe the beliefs of Jewish communities living more than 2,000 years ago. These manuscripts have fundamentally changed historians' understanding of the religious world that existed before the destruction of the Second Temple. One of the most misunderstood documents is the Copper Scroll. Unlike the other Dead Sea Scrolls, it was engraved onto thin sheets of copper rather than written on parchment or papyrus. The text appears to list dozens of locations where gold, silver, and sacred objects were supposedly hidden. Naturally, this has sparked endless speculation. Treasure hunters have searched for decades, hoping to uncover the riches described in the document. Yet despite numerous expeditions, none of the treasures listed in the Copper Scroll have been conclusively identified. Some scholars believe the inventory referred to real hidden valuables. Others argue it may have been symbolic, legendary, or connected to treasures that disappeared long ago. The mystery remains unsolved. Artificial intelligence has also been linked to claims about secret messages hidden within the scrolls. In reality, AI excels at recognizing handwriting patterns, reconstructing damaged fragments, and organizing textual data. It does not independently discover mystical meanings or decode supernatural messages hidden in ancient manuscripts. When AI identifies a pattern, researchers still examine the evidence carefully before drawing any historical conclusions. Technology proposes possibilities. Scholars test those possibilities using archaeology, linguistics, history, and textual analysis. This careful process is the foundation of modern historical research. Another common internet claim suggests the Dead Sea Scrolls contain prophecies that accurately predict specific events in today's world. While some scrolls include apocalyptic and prophetic writings, these texts reflect the religious beliefs and expectations of Jewish communities living during their own historical period. Historians study them to understand ancient thought, not as verified predictions of modern events. Context matters. A text written more than 2,000 years ago should first be understood within the historical world in which it was created. Removing passages from that context can easily lead to sensational interpretations that the original authors never intended. Perhaps the most important lesson from the Dead Sea Scrolls is not about hidden conspiracies. It is about preservation. Against incredible odds, these fragile manuscripts survived centuries of war, political upheaval, harsh desert conditions, and the passage of time. Because they were carefully hidden in caves near Qumran, generations of scholars can now study texts that would otherwise have been lost forever. That achievement alone is extraordinary. Artificial intelligence is helping researchers preserve these priceless documents even further by creating detailed digital archives, restoring faded writing through advanced imaging, and comparing thousands of fragments with unprecedented accuracy. Far from replacing historians, AI is allowing experts to ask better questions and explore evidence in entirely new ways. The greatest discoveries may not come from sensational headlines. They may come from patiently uncovering small details that gradually reveal a clearer picture of the ancient world. When people hear about the Dead Sea Scrolls, they often expect a story filled with hidden secrets and dramatic revelations. But the greatest impact of these ancient manuscripts wasn't the discovery of a lost civilization or a mysterious prophecy. It was something far more significant. The scrolls gave historians an unprecedented opportunity to look directly into the religious world of more than 2,000 years ago. Before their discovery in the late 1940s, scholars relied largely on medieval Hebrew manuscripts when studying the text of the Hebrew Bible. Those manuscripts were accurate and carefully preserved, but they were copied many centuries after the original writings. The Dead Sea Scrolls changed everything. Among the collection were copies of nearly every book of the Hebrew Bible, with the notable exception of the Book of Esther. Some of these biblical manuscripts are more than 1,000 years older than the oldest complete Hebrew manuscripts previously available to researchers. For historians and biblical scholars, this was an extraordinary opportunity. By comparing these ancient copies with later manuscripts, researchers discovered something remarkable. Despite minor differences in spelling, wording, and scribal traditions, many biblical passages had been preserved with remarkable consistency across centuries of transmission. This finding strengthened historians' understanding of how carefully many ancient texts had been copied over generations. At the same time, The scrolls also revealed that textual diversity existed during the Second Temple period. Different versions of certain passages circulated alongside one another, showing that the process of copying sacred writings was more complex than previously understood. Rather than creating confusion, these discoveries help scholars better understand how biblical texts gradually developed before becoming standardized. But the Dead Sea Scrolls offer much more than biblical manuscripts. The collection includes legal documents, hymns, prayers, calendars, commentaries, and community regulations that provide an unprecedented glimpse into Jewish religious life before the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE. These writings help historians understand debates about law, worship, purity, prophecy, and expectations surrounding the coming of a future Messiah. Many of these ideas formed part of the broader religious environment in which both Rabbinic Judaism and early Christianity later developed. That doesn't mean the scrolls directly prove or disprove later religious beliefs. Instead, they provide valuable historical context. They show the diversity of Jewish thought during one of the most influential periods in ancient history. This is where modern technology, including artificial intelligence, continues making an important contribution. Researchers are now creating detailed digital archives of every fragment using extremely high-resolution photography. Advanced imaging techniques reveal faded ink invisible under normal light. Machine learning systems compare handwriting across thousands of fragments, helping scholars identify possible scribes and organize manuscripts more efficiently. Every year, these technologies improve. Each improvement allows historians to ask new questions without risking damage to the fragile originals. Perhaps the most exciting aspect of this work is that the research is still ongoing. Although the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered decades ago, many fragments continue to be analyzed with tools unavailable to earlier generations. Future advances in imaging, AI, and digital preservation may clarify damaged passages, improve manuscript reconstructions, and deepen historians' understanding of ancient Jewish society. But those discoveries will likely come through careful scholarship, not sensational headlines. The real achievement of the Dead Sea Scrolls lies in their ability to connect the modern world with voices from more than 2,000 years ago. Every fragment reminds us that history is not simply about kings and battles. It is also about ordinary scribes who carefully copied sacred texts, communities who preserved their beliefs during uncertain times, and people who believed their writings were valuable enough to protect at enormous personal risk. Those efforts succeeded beyond anything they could have imagined. Because of them, modern scholars continue reading words written before the birth of the Roman Empire's greatest emperors. And with every new technological advance, those ancient voices become just a little clearer. After nearly 80 years of research, the Dead Sea Scrolls remain one of the greatest archaeological discoveries ever made. Thousands of scholars have examined them. New technologies have revealed faded letters once thought lost forever. Artificial intelligence now assists researchers in ways that would have seemed impossible only a generation ago. Yet the biggest questions still remain. Who gathered these extraordinary manuscripts? Were they copied by a single religious community at Qumran, or did they come from several libraries across ancient Judea? Why were they hidden so carefully inside remote caves overlooking the Dead Sea? And could there still be undiscovered scrolls waiting beneath the desert? These questions continue to drive archaeological research. Although dozens of caves have already been explored, archaeologists have never ruled out the possibility that additional manuscripts could still exist. In recent years, excavation teams have continued surveying the cliffs around Qumran using drones, satellite imaging, ground-penetrating radar, and advanced mapping technology to identify locations that may have been overlooked decades ago. Artificial intelligence is becoming an important part of that search. Instead of simply reading ancient texts, AI can now analyze satellite images, identify unusual geological formations, compare excavation records, and even predict which unexplored areas have the greatest potential for archaeological discoveries. This doesn't mean AI knows where hidden scrolls are buried, but it gives researchers another powerful tool for narrowing their search. Inside laboratories, AI continues making equally important contributions. Every fragment of the Dead Sea Scrolls is photographed in extraordinary detail. Machine learning software compares handwriting styles, ink patterns, parchment texture, and damaged edges, searching for connections between fragments separated for decades. Some pieces, once believed unrelated, have now been linked through digital analysis. Others remain isolated, waiting for future discoveries that may finally reveal where they belong. This patient work rarely makes sensational headlines, but each small breakthrough helps historians reconstruct a clearer picture of life more than 2,000 years ago. Meanwhile, internet stories continue claiming that AI has uncovered hidden prophecies, secret civilizations, or messages that rewrite history. Those claims may attract millions of views, but there is no verified evidence that Grok AI or any AI system has made such discoveries. The real achievement is different. Artificial intelligence is allowing historians to ask better questions. It is helping preserve fragile manuscripts that continue to deteriorate with age. It is revealing faint writing invisible to earlier generations. And it is accelerating research that once required decades of manual comparison. Perhaps that is the greatest lesson of the Dead Sea Scrolls. History is never truly finished. Every generation develops new tools. Every generation uncovers new evidence. And every generation gains a slightly deeper understanding of the people who came before us. The scrolls have already survived more than 2 millennia. They have outlasted empires, wars, kingdoms, and civilizations. Now, through digital preservation and artificial intelligence, they may survive for thousands of years more, allowing future historians to continue asking questions we have not yet imagined. So, did Grok AI discover a hidden secret that stunned the archaeological world? The answer, based on the available evidence, is no. But AI is helping scholars unlock genuine historical insights every year, and those discoveries are gradually bringing one of humanity's greatest archaeological treasures into sharper focus. Sometimes, history doesn't change through one shocking revelation. Sometimes, it changes one fragment at a time. What do you think? Could artificial intelligence eventually answer the remaining mysteries of the Dead Sea Scrolls? Or will some questions always remain beyond our reach? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.